Matt Miller. Regret the podcast. Hi, I'm Matt Miller, and welcome to Regret the Podcast, episode 8. Last podcast, after I finished recording it, I was pretty under the influence and I passed out. It was on St. Patrick's Day. I meant to go out, but I just kind of fell asleep. And now I'm burping. Because that's how I live my life. So yeah. So that's dumb. That was dumb of me, huh? But whatever. I called a bunch of the people I usually call on my phone to talk to them. Nobody answered, and I just woke up on my bed, and I was like, ah, shit. I just passed out. But, that's what happens, I guess, when you're recording a nice little podcast like this. I have a whole sheet of paper of stuff I want to talk about, so let's just start talking about it. So the first girl I dated is the is good. I bet ahs are really good for audio. Everyone likes a good I remember one time we were more ahs. We were dating. Of course, we were dating the first girl I dated, and we were somewhere and we were dancing or whatnot. And she asked me what's the percentage I would marry her. And this was in college, so that was sort of a big thing to spring on me, What's the percentage I'm going to marry you? And I remember I was realistic about it, and I said 65%. 65%. And then she was very mad about that. She didn't really completely show it. But then when we were driving home, she didn't want to sit with me. I remember we had to pull over somewhere because she had to piss, and she pissed next to a dumpster, and I was trying to talk to her while she was peeing. She was like, it's fine. Da 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 da. And then we went back, and she was mad at me for a while. It's what am I supposed to say? 100%? 0%? What did I know at the time? 65% was my answer, which I think is a fun answer. It's a good, strong answer. If anyone's wondering, 65%. It's so silly. Yeah. But anyhow, that was fun. And then there was another girl after that I dated. And we were dating for a while. And then she bought an apartment that she couldn't afford, just assuming I'd move in and pay half the rent without discussing it with me. And that kind of pissed me off. And then that relationship kind of fizzled away. But she seemed like she kind of... I remember one time we were making jalapeno poppers or something. And she touched her eyes after touching it. And I'm like, you got to pour milk on it. And she's like, nah. She was just in the bathroom and water. I'm like, you got to pour milk on it. And then she kept disagreeing. And then she realized that milk was right. But she was a vegetarian, so all she had was soy milk or almond milk, or probably almond milk, and then she poured it on. She was better. And I'm like, you should listen to me. But yeah. That's another story for you. But yeah, 65% marriage, the first girl there. That's just an honest answer. I don't know. I don't fucking know. So yeah, those are my first two big relationships there. They're both year and a half-ish to 2 years, year and a half-ish. And then after that, it's just been a whole spree of shit. Since I started doing comedy, it's been a whole spree of shit. Nothing lasting over well, I guess some stuff lasted over. Nothing lasting over a year, ranging from maybe a one-night stand to 3 or 4 months to 8 months. But not introducing anyone to my parents or anything. So yeah. So there was that. My mom's recently just been like asking me, she's like, where? She's like, oh, you have a girlfriend? What? No, I'm like, I've been doing shit and stuff. And I've been doing fine out there. It's just no one's been sticking. Or like, I haven't wanted anyone to stick yet. Someone may stick soon, though. You don't know. Don't even ask me. I'm just out there living a life. Now I'm very open about this, but I'm going to be very vague about it now because who knows what's going to happen next, you know? Maybe I'm seeing someone now. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe who cares, you know? Just living that life. Living that sitting here life. I'm wearing a shirt from the school I went to school, the college I went to. Fitchburg State College is where I went to school. And I studied things at that school. I am holding a pen. And, you know, I'm living a life. Started a job. It's a temp job. Doing audio visual stuff. For a college. It's paying pretty good. It might end on Monday, but they said they'll like hire me to do like part-time stuff if they ever need me. So that's good. Because I got to make some money, you know. Got to make that cash. I'm filling in for a guy. I heard him on the phone. He sounded pretty sick. But then I was told that's how he always sounds. So, I hope the best for him. But yeah, the job's been okay. It's been like, I've been like shadowing people, sitting behind an audio board, listening to lectures, college lectures. I listened to a lecture about quantum physics. And then somehow came down to like the patriarchy. And I don't know how it came that way, but, you know, that's just what I'm listening to in my life, which is fun thing to listen to. It was hard to pay attention. They just kept talking about shit, about existing and not existing. This is an all women's school. So like one lecture, it was about quantum physics, and then it was about feminism for some reason. I don't know how they squeezed it into quantum physics. And then I listened to another, I didn't listen to it. I was just helped set up for another lecture about feminism. So I've heard 2 feminism lectures. This was just a regular one. It was about like black women and feminism. And then another one about quantum physics that eventually was about feminism. And then they had a nice little food afterward, like shrimp cocktails and like these steak tip things and these chicken dumplings and wine and fancy cheese. It's like a whole big lecture about whatnot. I didn't follow it. I was kind of all over mentally. And then everyone just ate fancy food and left. And was anything learned? I don't know. But, you know, you could hear them. You could hear the speaker, which was something that, like, I was shadowing a person doing it. And that was our job. And you could see the PowerPoint. So that was accomplished for people to see. Did anyone learn anything? I don't know. Did I learn anything? Maybe I learned more about my job, but about quantum physics? No. So these lectures are fun, you know. If you want to kind of just be there, then eat fancy food. That's what I feel like lectures are in general. You just kind of be there, and then you eat fancy food. None of this is regrets. There's no regrets here. Regret the podcast, the number one non-regret podcast. What I do regret, actually, is what I first talked about is passing out after recording the last podcast and not going out on St. Patrick's Day, which was fucking stupid of me. But, you know, sometimes that happens, and just live that life. I got this nice cup here from this nice Chinese food restaurant that I like. They give you free iced tea. This isn't iced tea. I'm just using the cup. I mean, I guess the iced tea comes with it, but they don't tell you. And I got sweet and sour chicken, and the sweet and sour sauce came in a small coffee cup. And I'm like, do they also give me a coffee with this iced tea? But no, once you drink that coffee, sweet and sour sauce. So that was for the chicken. I like the place. I think it's called It's a Chinese place called South America. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, South America. But they give you a piece of bread and a fortune cookie and the food and whatnot and some iced coffee. I guess it's a big drink place because like out front they just advertise all their smoothies and shit, but I haven't got it. But I like it. It's near my house. Today was a nice snow day. A lot of snow out, so ate some Chinese food for me. I didn't do that much today, and then I fucking passed out because it was all fucking fried shit, made me sleepy. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. One time I met this girl off OkCupid. She came to my show. I was doing a comedy show, and during the show, I did fine. I didn't do great. She was there. She was watching me. And then, we were talking at a bar, and then I drove her home. And then we were, outside of her home, and she's like, do you want to make out? And I was like, okay. And then we made out for a bit. And then she ended up, blowing me. Okay, and welcome back to Regret the Podcast, episode 8. My batteries died in my recorder, so it cut out. And I was listening to the audio before. Hopefully it's not too loud. If it is too loud, this is the start of the podcast. But if it's not, this is the podcast back with you. I was in the middle of a story about fucking... I'm probably going to cut out a lot of that audio, but I was just thinking about stuff while I was sitting here listening to sad music, a little bit of sad music, and it's just you should just love each other. Humans should just love each other and be kind to one another, Yeah, that's a nice message, right? I'm thinking everyone has their own set of life experiences that resulted in them ending up the way they are now. And you don't know someone's past, You don't know their influences on them, if they've given into ego or whatever. And that your controversial opinion, you really shouldn't hate anyone. Even if you hate someone, just don't. I think hatred just creates more hatred. And if you think someone is absolutely awful, just empathize with them, which is maybe weird. Which may not make any sense. Of course, if someone does something bad, you have to punish them. I can't think of a better way to deal with people who do bad stuff. You have to punish them, take them as society. If people are doing bad stuff, they can't be existing. But you could have been born into that body, and maybe you'd like to think you wouldn't act that way, but you might act that way, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's just just have empathy. I think you can change people's hateful opinions if you're not yelling at them, if you're just being gentle. I think there was a study done where this black dude interviewed these KKK members. It wasn't a study, but he just over years just had lunch with them or sat with them and eventually converted their ways just by listening to them. So it has happened. It has happened in the past. I mean, I don't know. Got to talk out and see what people's wants and needs are. Everyone's wants and needs are different. Well, they're not different. It's all we want a place to live and food and friends and family and shit. And to feel fulfilled in life doing something we want to do. It's just that some people take a more evil route to achieve that than others. And some people don't. But I think a lot of people, given the option, would choose the evil route if it was presented in front of them. And that they may be this said person who's high up, who's evil, they'll sit there and call them evil. But given the option to be wealthy and have people admire you, but do something a little shitty versus just remain poor and anonymous. A lot of people might take the be wealthy and free, but do something not free. You're chained down. Be wealthy and have a lot of people admiring you and do that little shitty thing. Like we're all capable of evil, you know? Some people are just have more opportunities and succumb to it. And you just gotta like understand that could be you too, who ends up that way. But there's a lot of good people too. But my point is, what is it, like love thy enemy? Was it a Bible thing? It's just like you could be on the other side, given you could have been born anywhere. You could have have any amount of life experiences that resulted in how you are today. So you just gotta love your fellow man, even if you think they're shit. And if they're doing bad, you gotta call them out on it, but not in some shouty, aggressive, attacking way, but in a way in which to make it understand. And that may not change anything, but it's just the right way to do things. And you should keep trying to do things the right way. And hopefully, eventually, doing things the right way will result in things being done the right way. Man, I don't know. These are just my stupid views. What do I know? I'm sitting here drinking ginger ale. My mic now has full battery. I charged the batteries. I waited like an hour and a half to charge these puppers to bring them back up so they wouldn't die so I could record the rest of this. And now I'm going to get back to that silly sex story, which doesn't even paint me in the best light, but what are you going to do? So anyhow, I met this girl. Met this girl on OkCupid, and she came to a comedy show. This is a stark transition from that talk about loving people and shit. I don't know. So I met this girl on OkCupid, a dating website, and she came to a comedy show. She sat there. I did fine. I didn't even do that great. I drove her back home, and I was parked in a driveway, and she's like, "Do you want to make out?" And I was like, "All right." And then the making out turned into like me sort of like on my seat, like with my dick out, and she was like sucking it. So I was like trying to reach down to grab her puss, you know. I'm so graphic in the way I talk, but that's just how I talk about things. So what are you going to do? Very blunt and graphic. Anyhow, so she was sucking my dick. I was trying to grab her puss there. And she blew me, and then like I came on her chest, and then like I sat down and like I fingered out her until she said she came. And then like I was like holding her, and she's like, "Oh, you got to hold me after this?" And I'm like, "I mean, if you don't want to." And then she just left. Well, first she was like, "I don't normally do this," and I'm like, "Okay." So that's the opening of the story. And then like we tried to hang out again, but it just never happened. And then like one night she just like messaged me out of the blue to come over, and we were like sitting on her bed, and like she was wearing a dress, and there was like no panties. It wasn't even a dress, it was like a nightgown, and there was no panties underneath it. And then like we made out, and then I started to go down on her, and then I sort of went up next to her, and she started sucking me off. And then I was like trying to like bend over and like go down on her while she was sucking me off. But while I sort of made some move, like I knocked over a glass of water, or was it water or booze? It might have been, I think it was water, onto her like iPhone and onto her laptop, and then they both broke. It's not funny. That's funny. Whatever. Fuck it. That's a life thing. Whatever. It was a mistake. And like I remember she was like all mad, and she had to throw her laptop in like rice and shit, and her phone ended up being okay. Her laptop wouldn't turn on. I remember I was just like standing there, and I'm like, "Can I help?" And she's like, "No." And she was all pissed. She's like, "We're not going to continue." I'm like, "I didn't think we were going to continue." And then like a week or two later, I got a message, and I was just like, she's like, PayPal or Square Cash. She sent me the receipt to like fix her laptop that had been broken. And we ended up splitting it. And it was a mistake by me. It was just like in the middle of the action there. I didn't want that to happen, you know? And yeah, we ended up splitting it, and her laptop was fixed. And that was sort of the end of things. And I regret knocking over and breaking her shit. I didn't want to break her shit. That's fucked up. But that's what happened. So what are you going to do, you know? Has that ever happened to you? You ever just break shit? Well, fucking, like, expensive stuff? That's so stupid. But you make mistakes. There was another time, like, there was this woman, this elder of like 20 plus years on OkCupid that started writing sexual stuff to me. And then she wanted to go meet at like a Starbucks. And then I went to go meet her. Like, she was just like basically implying that we were just going to fuck. And I was like, I guess I'll go. And I went there, and I wasn't attracted to her, but I just went for the story. And this story is going to sound really mean after I gave my rant about loving one another, but I didn't want to be mean. So we were sitting there talking about shit. And she was like, if you're going to sleep with me, I'm going to quiz you on what you knew off my profile. And I'm like, this wasn't in what you were writing to me. She started like asking me questions about like what it said on her profile to see if I could give her answers. And I'm like, I mean, I looked through it, but I'm not going to remember shit. She also was like a lady that wrote like sex fan fiction, or like, she's like really intriguing, like sex shit, or what am I saying? Sex short stories that were just shitty. Like, they weren't good. She was like, oh, I'm really smart when it comes to comedy. And she was like, started reading one of her stories. It was about like a dude getting tied up at work. And then it turns out he was like tied up with a rope. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't see that coming. How smart of you. It was real like hacky, unoriginal, same word, sort of like content, little sex short stories that she was proud of, which is good for you for writing them. They weren't good to me. And then she tried quizzing me, and I'm like, I really don't know what you had on your profile. And she's like, what did you expect to get out of this? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe I could write a joke about it, which I know is mean. And then she kind of was like, whoa, and then she left. And I'm like, I just sort of was being honest. I was just going there to see what would happen. Maybe I could get a joke out of it. It's like we never had spoken before, and we were like 20 minutes into speaking. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know. I guess sometimes I just say the wrong things to women. I just say the honest thing. And then they don't want the honest thing. They want to lie. But I'm just going to keep saying the honest thing, because what are you going to do? I'm not going to lie to them. To ladies. It may not just be a lady thing. I'm sure dudes kind of want lies. But I'm very much about the truth. So anyhow, I remember she was like talking about how her son has some thing and she has to like cook all his food. And it was like a sad story. But like in her messages, she was like writing to me how she was like looking for... She wasn't exactly saying sex, but she was like implying sexual things. And when I got there, she's like, I'm going to quiz you on stuff. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. So my attitude changed, and I just gave her an honest answer, and she just was like upset about it and left. Yeah, there was another time there was this girl that would like message me in the middle of the night to come over. I remember I met her at a bar, and she was kind of a, I guess the word you would say, a bitch. Like when I met her, we talked it all. We talked and we sort of hit it off. And then like after we sort of established our thing, she went up to like one dude to make me jealous. And then I was like, whatever. And then she went up to another dude to make me jealous. And I remember like I shook his hand. He was like all weird. And then she realized that I didn't give a fuck. And then we went to, she wasn't even that great looking. And then we went to, that's mean. Well, that's just honest, you can judge me. And I went to her place and whatever. No, we went to my place, but like there was, over a period of months, we went through a whole bunch of shit of her calling me or me calling her. She was a real nutcase. But there was one time where, I'm drawing a blank here. Oh, she always had a drink before we had sex because I think she felt bad about it. And that was fucked up, but that's her shit. And like one time when we were making out, her breath reeked. It was so bad. It smelled like whiskey and just shit. And I'm like, oh, I can't keep making out with you. Your breath smells terrible. And then she got all pissed at me and kicked me out. And I was just like, I was just being honest about this shit. I'm not going to lie to you. It's like, how else if you're making out? And she was grossing me out. Her breath smelled so bad. Like, what else am I supposed to do other than tell her? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't know. People don't want the truth. I mean, I'm not saying I don't sometimes want the truth. I want the truth. And I get hurt, but what I hate more than anything is when people try to alter the truth and they don't respect the truth. Like hell is like doing the right thing and getting punished for it. That's what hell is. Hell isn't like torture. Hell is like, I don't know. Like if you're like helping someone in need and then they kill you. It's doing the right thing and getting punished for it. That's hell. Because there's nothing else you can do. There's nothing else you can do. But you just got to keep doing the right thing until you don't get punished for it. Like every like great rebellious person that ever succeeded was just trying to do the right thing and getting persecuted. And they just went through hell. You just have to go through hell. If you want to do anything sort of right, like very right, you have to go through hell. And then eventually hit heaven. But what does any of that even mean, I don't know. Most people don't want to do anything original with themselves. They want to just live a plain life, do what everyone in their social group in the echo chamber tells them to do, and just do that shit and live that life. You see this move on my arm? If you're watching, it's a strong move. And no one wants to be an individual. I mean, we all want to be individuals, but people want to fit in and be cool, which I get. Like, they don't want to be isolated from their social group because your social group is everything. But is it, though? Just be how you are, and hopefully things will work out. I could see that could be annoying. It's like Dr. Seuss shit. It's like those who... Like, I completely can't remember the quote, but it's just like, those who love you will love you, and those who don't care won't care, but it's just like, it doesn't matter. The people who are there will be there, the people that aren't there won't be there. And that's just the way things work. You're never going to get everyone to like you. So what's my point about this? So I sort of regret making that lady sad, but I always just answered her in an honest way. And this was just from like a brief talk online and meet in person. And I would say she was too emotionally invested in it. And that whiskey thing with the other girl, I don't know if I regret that. I mean, that was just a weird, crazy time. I mean, if I don't regret being honest. I can't regret that because I can't just decide that lying is the best way to live. The truth will set you free. Right? Yeah. Man, it's pretty deep shit. Pretty deep shit. It's 1:49 a.m. I have to wake up at 10:30 tomorrow, so I'm in the fucking clear here. I can get a bunch of sleep in. Everything is beautiful. All right, I'm going to take a short break right now and come back with more Regret the Podcast. Regret the Podcast is brought to you by burgers. I eat cheesy burgerinos. Hi, and welcome back to Regret the Podcast. Is that good noise for you? You like that noise? You like that noise you're getting at? I wrote down a ton of shit here that I wanted to talk about. You ever get your asshole licked? That feels pretty good. I had it happen to me once, and it does feel pretty good. What do you think about that, huh? Did I say that? What do you think about that? I'm going to cross that off the list. That's all I wanted to say about that. I had it happen once, and it felt good. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that, huh? Got all those nerve tendons on your old asshole there? Sometimes it's a little fun. Sometimes you have a little fun there, huh? A little asshole looking fun for you. Coming in hot. Got boogers on my face. Living that booger life. I have so much fucking congestion all the time. I've always had like tons of boogers throughout my nose. One time I remember I was at a gym. It was when I went to the school to Sherman-Fitchburg, and like I sneezed like a huge dollop of fucking boogers onto a machine. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we just looked at it and laughed. It was just like comically huge, and it was just like, shit. I had to wipe it off. I don't know. I've always had tons of boogers. One time I was taking a test. This is unrelated, but sort of. And I was using a pencil, and like I scraped the wood under my nail, and my nail was bleeding during the test. Like, and I was like, fuck. And I had to like rip out the little piece of wood. And there was just like drip drops of blood on the test and stuff. And like, I didn't want to make a whole thing about it. So I sort of just kept it to myself, even though my finger was bleeding. So yeah. And I was just like, I gotta finish the test. Can't do this. Like, my mind's very one track minded. I gotta do this or do that. So I just had a bloody test with a bloody hand. I used to get eczema in my hand, and like I used to work at a Stop and Shop and check people out. And one day it was real bad where I was just bleeding, and I was just kind of sitting there like dabbing off my knuckles as I put through people's shit and just kind of getting blood on people's shit. And no one said anything the whole time. Eventually I put on cream and it went away. But yeah, that day I just had like so much blood in everyone's shit, and no one cared. One time when I was working at a deli, I sliced my finger on one of the machines and my finger was bleeding. Okay. Number one burp podcast. And like they're like, do you want to go to the hospital or not? I just went to the hospital and they paid for it. But it wasn't even that bad. But I remember I did have to like soak it in like salt water for a little bit. But yeah, it didn't really hurt. It was just like, cut my finger on a deli slicer. Then I have to go to the hospital. Fun times. Fun times for all. All right. So, what what should I fill the last part of this podcast with? Talking about blood. Taking a sip of my drink over here. Anxiety is a fun thing to talk about. I was just thinking about this the other day. So, like, I'm loaded up with anxiety. I know I make these podcasts and you watch the videos, and I just seem super out there and outgoing. And I do stand-up. Like, being in front of a camera or on stage makes the most sense mentally to me because, like, I'm supposed to be there, right? I'm accepted. But sometimes if I don't feel accepted, it's hard for me to integrate into groups, you know? Like the way I've been doing it is just by being funny or being a theatric, right? Like doing stand-up, I can meet people just by being funny on stage. They come up to me, meet girls, meet dudes, meet animals, because I'm funny, and then they see me, and then they can come up to me, and then the whole interaction just begins there. It makes things way easier. Or like I taught myself how to dance so that I could meet women and shit, because then I'm just doing an activity rather than have to go up to them. I can just dance and they come to me, but I would still go to them and ask them to dance because sometimes my words aren't so great. But yeah, I always felt in my life that I had to just be an entertainer to be accepted by people, which gets annoying after a while. Just feeling like all you bring to the game is your entertainment factor. But I don't know, maybe that's why you hang out with anyone, right? Because you click with them personality-wise. But I always felt like I had to be like some sort of thing, some sort of guy. I don't know. But anxiety, yeah, I'm fueled with anxiety. I'm always scared in this world, and I just hide it very well. I've just taught myself to hide it. I've done things that other people wouldn't even think about doing. Like, I've performed in front of huge crowds. I go out alone to bars and dance and meet people. But I use a lot of alcohol to cover up the anxiety and fear. My social skills are weak. But if I drink or I'm doing comedy, it appears that it's not weak. Well, I'm like in my head all day thinking about shit, and it gets super annoying how I think about shit all the time. And I just wish I could just get into a flow state. Like once I start talking with someone, just talk to someone else, and just never get in my own head about things. But I just get so much anxiety about shit, just overthinking things, not wanting to fuck up shit, and just like hesitating, and that doesn't get what you want if you hesitate. You got to go for it. Yeah, not knowing what to say to people, not knowing like if I'm in a social group circle, and they're talking about something that I have no idea about, I just don't know how to jump in. Or a lot of time I feel left out from like inside jokes and shit from people because like I just have no input on anything, and then they don't include me even though I'm still like friends, and then like I don't know what the fuck they're talking about or how to relate, and they just think I'm like a weirdo. I don't know. I do have like a lone wolf type attitude, or I don't want to lead, or I mean, if I need to, I'll lead, but I don't really want to follow anyone, but sometimes you got to follow some people. That's just how it works. But yeah, trouble relating socially to a lot of people. I kind of like to stay to myself. And I use alcohol to cope with my overwhelming anxiety when I'm out and about. But I want to do comedy, and the way to increase, like I don't make any money doing comedy, and just being funny doesn't really do it. You got to have social skills to like move up, get to know people, start networking, you know? I guess maybe if you're like super funny, you can surpass that. So I'm just working on that because my social skills are rough. A lot of the time I'm just like there and I'm just looking at everyone talking, and I'm just like, I got no input for anything anyone's saying. This is not shit I'm thinking about. I don't know. And then it's just like fucking, yeah, anxiety. So much fucking anxiety. I'm trying to eat better and exercise, and it's just not, I don't know if it's fixing it. But yeah, it's just like I remember one time I did this set on Ativan. I'd never done Ativan. Ativan made me so fucking chill. I sort of wish I could do more Ativan, but it's like addictive, and it like, I think it takes away creative factors and shit. But like that set's online. That was a set I destroyed. It was me at the Comedy Studio maybe 2 years ago at this point. Or a year and a half. And like I was just so like not anxious, and I was just saying my words and going with it. And that was so nice. Yeah. Because I have so much anxiety. It's fucking annoying. I wish I didn't. I have all this like flightness inside me, like wanting to leave situations. And I just force myself to not to, and it doesn't like improve or get better. Like once I figured out how to not leave, every situation's the same feeling I'm over. It never gets better. No matter how much I do it, it never gets better. It's just, I keep doing it. So yeah, this is what I talked about when I went to therapy. I've taken antidepressants, which I guess aren't anti-anxiety pills. And it's just something I've coped with. I've always been like a shy person. I don't think shy is a death sentence. I think you can decide not to be shy, but it's just like really hard to overcome. And I tell weird jokes, and I make weird videos. People assume I'm like outspoken, maybe, but I'm not. I don't know. I have trouble relating with most people because I don't like shit. I'm just sort of in my own world. I feel like people treat me differently than one another. What are you gonna do? Fuck it. Just live life. Have fun. Get at it. All right, I'm starting to get loopy here. I want to talk about anxiety more. Maybe I will in another one, but now I'm just like fucking tired. I don't have a lot to say about it. Like the other day, my anxiety was so high up about shit, feeling like I should have done more stuff in a social situation. But, you know, I'm trying every day, you know, I'm trying to do shit. It just feels like it never improves. Like I've had like people tell me like, you know, this girl tell me like, you're just so different when you're on stage, like so attracted to me when I'm on stage. Or like this dude telling me like, your videos make you seem so like outgoing and shit, and then you talk to you and you're so different. Yeah, I feel comfortable being the center of attention. That's when I feel most comfortable. When I'm not, I don't know how to be. That's probably like a narcissistic shit or fucked up shit. Or like a ham, you know, a ham person just likes to act out. I just don't know how to just flow. I gotta be like something. Or I go crazy. Whatever. I don't know. Fucking, I'll figure it out, I hope. I'll figure out just how to be a regular guy, or I won't. I'll just continue being this. Yeah, it's just like I feel most comfortable in the limelight. When I'm not in the limelight, I just don't know how to be. Don't know how to talk to people or relate to people. It just gets annoying after a while, but everyone's got their own shit. So I've been Matt Miller. I'm Matt Miller Real on Twitter. Matt Miller Real on Facebook. Matt Miller Real on Instagram. Grimmity Grew. Grip Grab Gribbity. I'm 7the77 on YouTube. Or just search Matt Miller Comedy. Hopefully you appreciate this episode and you like it. You can find it on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. And yeah, thanks for listening to Regret the Podcasto. Good.